Hey everyone, welcome back to Honest About the Irish, brought to you by yours truly, B-Man is Mad. And it is February 20th. College football doesn't start until September, for Notre Dame at least. I'm pretty sure there'll be a couple games before that at the end of August, where it's going to be very hot out. And by the way, speaking of hot weather, I wish it was 85 degrees and sunny right now, because I'm really getting tired of this snow. We have 14 inches of snow where I live, and it's just been very painful, and it's not been fun, and it sucks. A lot of people are without power in Texas, and it's just been a really bad winter, and I cannot wait until the days where you can go outside with just a t-shirt on and flip-flops, and no, not a flip-flops to go to a baseball game like Cub fans do, but wear your flip-flops to go check your mail or go get your newspaper, because I will never be caught dead wearing flip-flops out in the public, only when I'm on my boat or I'm on my property around the house. That's the only time I ever wear flip-flops. So don't ever wear flip-flops or sandals to a baseball game, because you will be mocked and made fun of by people like me, B-Man is Mad, the host, of course, because wearing flip-flops is ridiculous. It's not a fashion. It's stupid. There's only one person who looks great in flip-flops, and that was Jesus. And even Jesus wouldn't wear flip-flops at a Cubs game, if he decided to even go there, because I'm pretty sure Jesus would have better taste in baseball than the Cubs. But let's get back to Notre Dame football. And the weather, yes, it sucks, but we got to deal with it. Living here in the Northwest Indiana area, living in the Chicagoland area, we are tough. We can deal with it, and we've been here before. And just put it this way. St. Patrick's Day is just 25 days away, and by then, hopefully we'll have a 50 or 60 degree day by then for at least 2 days. But then it goes back into the 30s and 40s because it's Northwest Indiana, and it is the Chicagoland area. The weather is inconsistent. The weather is unpredictable, kind of like the one and only Dr. Fauci, who says one thing one day, one thing the other day. But that's just the way the weather is. It's unpredictable in its science. But what is not unpredictable and what is not science is the Notre Dame football schedule that you look forward to. And you know the Notre Dame football. The only way the Notre Dame football schedule could be changed is, of course, by science and COVID-19, like it just did this past year in 2020, where Notre Dame went over to the ACC conference and played 1 year there, of course, and went to the ACC championship game. But if science does not affect Notre Dame's schedule, then the schedule that I have here presented in front of me will be put in place, and that is the non-existent ACC schedule with actually 5 ACC teams, but not the actual ACC conference schedule. It is the original Notre Dame independent schedule, and there's a lot to look forward to get into here with this schedule, and I will tell you what I'm thinking about this schedule. But before I get into that, I hate the off season. I really do. The off season is just, it's very, 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 very slow. And it's very, very, very long. And I'm sitting here reading recruiting articles and looking over videos from last year, things that Notre Dame can improve on. And it's just not the same. You want to see live action games. You want to be able to go to a stadium in early September and be able to sit in that nice warm sun and watch your team score a couple touchdowns and win convincingly. But you gotta wait, and waiting is so painful. Waiting is like, it's kind of like, for me, and let me kind of use an analogy here. And a lot of my analogies don't make sense. A lot of people say they're too far away and they're non-existent. But I will try to put this in words to explain it to you guys so you understand. I was a huge fan of the movie Top Gun in the 80s. Every person grew up in the 80s and 90s loved the movie Top Gun. I don't care who you are. Top Gun was a staple for the 80s. It is a great movie. It's about jets, and it's Tom Cruise, and it's Iceman. That's all you need to know. It's jets flying around blowing up other jets. It's great, and the great music, the cheesy taglines, everything about that movie Top Gun. Of course, just last year, before COVID-19 took effect, Top Gun 2 was going to be released, and everybody saw that trailer during the Super Bowl last year. And everyone was pumped to see that movie. Everybody wanted to buy the ticket right there and get it. You wait for your favorite movie to come, the movie that you're anticipating to come. And now we gotta wait even longer because of COVID-19, and it sucks. I don't even know when the movie's gonna be released, but I just want to watch Top Gun 2. I want to be able to watch Maverick. That's the name of the movie. But as you wait, you sit there and you think, is the movie going to be anything like the first one? Is it going to be even better? And it's hard. It's over 30 years later. It's hard to to adapt to the original movie. We've seen it so many times with movie remakes or sequels that are made 30 years later. I think the best sequel to a movie that has been made 20 to 30 years later was back in 2010 with Wall Street 2, Money Never Sleeps. That was actually a good movie. The problem with that movie was it wasn't as good as the first one, but it was still a good movie. If that movie had just came out and they based it off of a backstory that you hadn't seen, that would be a pretty good movie. The only bad thing about Wall Street 2 was that it had too much of a love story that was kind of annoying. But other than that, it was actually a decent movie, and that was a decent sequel. Now, the critics kind of panned it. I really don't care what critics think. But being a football fan is like waiting for Top Gun 2. It's waiting, you cannot wait. The first one was so great. The 2022 Notre Dame season was great. The regular season was undefeated. It was great. We all knew what happened at the end. They lost. So anticipating for this movie is like being a sports fan. You have the same questions. How is the acting going to be? How is the playing going to be? How's Notre Dame going to perform? How's Tom Cruise going to perform? Is the special effects going to be any good? Is there going to be a lot of action? Is it going to be a lot like the first one? Is there going to be a lot of offense, a lot of moving around the field for Notre Dame football? You just got all these questions. Now, when the movie comes out, and you've waited almost a year and a half to see this movie, and it completely sucks like every sequel that comes out, for only a few, there's only a few exceptions, and you've wasted $15 for a ticket, and you've wasted $500 on popcorn and pop and candy, depending on if you have kids. You might as well take out a mortgage to go see a movie. And listen, I think a lot of us want to go back to a movie because we're sick and tired of not able to go to normal places and see things, and we want to help out these businesses. So hopefully we'll be able to go back to a movie in the next 6 or 7 months, and we'll be able to see Maverick Top Gun 2 in the theater. Now, after all that waiting, the movie sucks, you're pissed because you wasted all that money. It's like being a Notre Dame fan. It's like being a sports fan. You've spent all this time investing, all this time reading, getting excited, and then the season comes out and they completely flop. They go 5-7, or they go 6-6. They go to a bowl game that's meaningless, and they lose, and they go 6-7, which is a pretty disgusting record, or even a 7-5 record. It's not fun, and it has that same anticipation of waiting for a movie. Now, hopefully, maybe Maverick Top Gun 2 is a great movie. Hopefully, Tom Cruise is even better than the first one. The acting's even better. There's more action since we've come a far way with special effects. That this movie will make the original Top Gun look completely cheap and generic. And that's a tall task. It's hard to do that. It's hard to copy the original. And it's hard to have that success. Now, with Notre Dame football, can they bounce off of last year? Can they continue their success with the offensive line? Can they continue their success with running the ball? Now, the questions are who's going to be the quarterback? How are the transitions of the coaches coming in going to be with, of course, Marcus Freeman from Cincinnati? And then, of course, Clark Lee leaving to Vanderbilt to be the head coach there. The transition, the defense, how's that going to affect the season? How's that going to affect a Notre Dame plays defense with a different scheme, with a different coach, with a different attitude and a different demeanor? I mean, a lot of questions to ask. So you just got to be patient, and you got to sit there and wait and watch the blue and gold game. That's you can tell a little bit there who the quarterback's going to be. You can tell about their talent level there. I mean, it is hard to tell against their own team, but you'll know who some of these breakout players could be. And the blue and gold game is just over a month and a half away. So until then, you just got to be patient. And hopefully Notre Dame season is much better than last season, and they have more success, and they go to the national championship game, and they do win, because that's what you want your team to do. You want them to win. But being a Notre Dame fan, I'm not delusional, and I got to be realistic. If they win 10 or 11 games, I am satisfied with that. Now, last year was great, but we all knew what happened the last 2 games of the year. But I will read you guys the schedule for the 2021 season. And before I get into that, I just want you to know that this is actually the independent schedule. This is not the ACC schedule, okay? Now, Notre Dame is back over to independent because it seems like they're going to go with it. Hopefully by then, people will be vaccinated. And hopefully by then, fans will be allowed back in the stadium. Even more than 10,000 fans will be back in the stadium. So here is Notre Dame's original independent schedule, non-ACC schedule. Even though they do play 5 ACC opponents, And their first ACC opponent is actually their home. Is it not actually a home opener? Is actually their season opener, and that is on the road in Tallahassee at Florida State, which the weather is going to be hot there. Which I wish it was hot today. Then their first home game the following week is Toledo. September 16th, Purdue. Nice to see them back on the schedule. Then, of course, Saturday, September 25th, in the great state of Illinois and the great city of Chicago that I wish I lived in because it's so cool to live there, is the Wisconsin Badgers. Now, that is technically, to me, that I don't care, the neutral site games. That is the Shamrock Series games. That is a road game for Notre Dame. And then Cincinnati Bearcats on October 2nd. It'll be interesting to see Marcus Freeman's former team, how that will affect the team. That'll be a game that I'll circle because Cincinnati was a hell of a good team last year. October 9th at Virginia Tech, off on October 16th. Nice to see USC back on the schedule. Home game on October 23rd. Then, of course, the following week, October 30th, Halloween weekend. The North Carolina Tar Heels, we saw how Notre Dame's defense picked them apart last year. November 6th, Navy. Nice to see them back on the schedule as well. And then, of course, November 13th at Virginia Cavaliers. November 20th, the second to last game of the year, their last home game of the year of 2021, and that will be the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. And then, of course, November 27th, Thanksgiving weekend, is out in California, the great state of California, which is even nicer than Illinois. The Stanford Cardinal, nice to see them back on the schedule as well. So there's a couple of games on here that I would like to circle. Of course, that first game out in Tallahassee and the Heat in Florida State, that'll be interesting. Even though Florida State has not been what they've been the last couple of years, that'll still be interesting to see how Notre Dame plays in that Heat and on the road. And I'm pretty sure that will be a primetime game. And then, of course, the Wisconsin game out at Soldier Field in the great city of Chicago. USC is always a rivalry, tough game for Notre Dame. And then, of course, the last game of the year out in Stanford. And then another one, of course, the North Carolina game at home. North Carolina had a lot of success with Mark Brown out there. He's continually build that program up, and they've been successful. So there's about 3 or 4 games on that schedule that Notre Dame, could have some trouble with. But I'm not making any predictions. It's something to look forward to. This is basically me overreacting to the 2021 schedule, and of course me underreacting to the 2021 schedule. It's just something to look forward to, because when you're living on a deserted island with just a can of beans and water, and that's all you live off of for 7 months until you're saved, because you're going to be saved in 7 to 6 months, that's what it's like being a football fan. A lot of time to wait and a lot of time to think. And until then, you just got to be patient and don't over worry about it, because I'm going to over worry about it. And I hope this schedule stays intact. I hope that they do play USC again. I hope they do play Purdue. And I hope they go out to Stanford again. It'd be nice to see that tradition. Even though I like them in the ACC, I think being in a conference helps their cause out even more. Because now they're going to go back to Notre Dame. If they have an undefeated season in 2021, an undefeated regular season, they're going to be like, well, they didn't play anyone. They have an independent schedule. They should have stayed in the conference. We're going to have to hear that again. And I hate going through the same argument year after year after year, because it'll be tougher for Notre Dame to be in the top 4, especially after what we saw them get blown out by Alabama and get dominated there by Clemson in the ACC championship game. So, honestly, I would like to had to see them stay in the ACC championship game, the ACC conference. But it's not up to me. So, until then, I will talk to you guys later. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment. And, of course, as always, go Irish. Take care, everyone, and stay warm. And I'm wishing it was 75 degrees right now.